Nero's death in June 68 AD created a huge problem. He was the last of the Julio-Claudian emperors. This family had ruled Rome for about a century, since the time of Augustus. Without a clear heir to take his place, Rome found itself in a very worrying and unstable situation. The powerful Praetorian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguards in Rome, and the distant armies stationed in the provinces felt they could now have a say in choosing the next emperor. This was a dangerous development for the peace and stability of the entire Roman Empire. The Senate, Rome's traditional governing body, tried to assert its control but had lost much of its real power over the many years of imperial rule. The Senate quickly declared Nero an enemy of the state. This official declaration happened even before he actually died. He was forced to flee the city of Rome, fearing for his life. He eventually took his own life with the assistance of a loyal freedman, one of his former slaves. His famous last words were reported to be "Qualis artifex pereo," which translates from Latin to "What an artist dies in me." This statement seemed to show his primary focus on his own personal interests and artistic pursuits rather than on the well-being and governance of Rome. His death, however, did not bring the peace that many might have hoped for. Instead, it opened the door for ambitious and powerful generals to fight amongst themselves for the ultimate prize, the imperial throne. The year that followed Nero's dramatic death, 69 AD, became infamously known throughout history as the Year of the Four Emperors. It was a period of terrible and destructive civil war. Different parts of the vast Roman army stationed in various provinces declared their loyalty and support for different generals. These armies then marched against each other, leading to brutal battles on Roman soil. The city of Rome itself witnessed fighting in its streets, a shocking experience for its citizens. The empire, which stretched across a vast geographical area from Britain to Egypt, was shaken to its very core by this internal conflict. People across the empire longed for strong and decisive leadership to end the widespread bloodshed and bring back order and stability. This extended period of chaos and warfare clearly demonstrated how fragile Roman imperial power could be at times. The political system that had been carefully built by Augustus, the first Roman emperor, relied heavily on a smooth and accepted transfer of power from one ruler to the next. When that system failed, as it did after Nero's death, the military became the key decider in who would rule. Legions stationed in provinces far away from the capital city of Rome suddenly held immense influence. Their commanders saw a golden opportunity to gain the ultimate prize of becoming emperor. The ordinary people of Rome and the provinces suffered greatly during this prolonged time of uncertainty and constant violent conflict. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Roman history, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more captivating historical content. See you next time. The very first individual to successfully claim the imperial throne after Nero was Servius Sulpicius Galba. He was serving as the governor of the Roman province of Hispania Tarraconensis in modern-day Spain at the time of Nero's demise. Galba was an old and experienced senator, around 70 years of age, and initially he seemed like a sensible choice. He marched on Rome with his legions and was formally accepted as emperor by the Senate. However, he quickly became deeply unpopular with many key groups. He was widely seen as being excessively cruel and remarkably mean, especially with money. Crucially, he refused to pay the Praetorian Guard the donative or monetary gift they had expected upon his accession. This was a very bad mistake for any new emperor hoping to secure his position. Galba's growing unpopularity and his poor decisions ultimately led to his swift downfall. In an attempt to secure the succession, he adopted Lucius Calpurnius Piso Licinianus as his heir. This action greatly angered Marcus Salvius Otho. Otho had been an early and influential supporter of Galba. He had genuinely hoped that he himself would be chosen as Galba's successor. Feeling betrayed and ambitious, Otho then took decisive action. He bribed the disgruntled Praetorian Guard. The Guard, motivated by the promise of payment, turned against Galba and murdered him in the Roman Forum in January of 69 AD. Otho was then immediately declared emperor by the Praetorians and accepted by the Senate. His reign, however, would prove to be very short indeed. Meanwhile, far away from Rome, the powerful legions stationed in the province of Germania had their own candidate in mind for emperor. They proclaimed Aulus Vitellius as their choice. Vitellius was the commander of the Roman army stationed along the Rhine River frontier. His forces, loyal to him, began the long march from Germany towards Italy, intending to seize power. Otho knew he had to fight vigorously if he wanted to keep his newly acquired imperial position. Otho's forces, primarily the Praetorian Guard and legions from Italy, met Vitellius's larger and more battle-hardened army at the First Battle of Bedricum near Cremona in northern Italy in April 69 AD. Otho's army was decisively defeated. Rather than prolong the civil war and cause more suffering, Otho chose to take his own life. Following his victory at Bedriacum, Aulus Vitellius entered Rome as the new emperor. He was well known throughout the empire for his excessive love of food and his incredibly extravagant banquets, which became legendary for their opulence. Unfortunately for Rome, he was not a strong military leader, nor was he a particularly good or effective administrator. His brief rule was largely marked by this personal indulgence and a noticeable lack of discipline among his victorious soldiers, who often behaved poorly in the capital. The people of Rome and the inhabitants of the provinces grew tired of his ineffectual leadership very quickly. Far away in the eastern part of the empire, another powerful and respected general was watching these events unfold with keen interest. His name was Vespasian. If you're enjoying this journey through history, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. And remember, subscribing ensures you won't miss any of our upcoming historical explorations. Titus Flavius Vespasianus, who history remembers simply as Vespasian, was a man of relatively humble origins, not from the traditional Roman senatorial aristocracy. He had steadily risen through the ranks of the Roman army, primarily through his considerable skill, dedication, and hard work. He had served with notable distinction in Britain during the Roman invasion and conquest there. At the time of the unfolding chaos in Rome, he was in command of the substantial Roman forces engaged in suppressing the major Jewish revolt in the province of Judea. Vespasian was a widely respected and highly experienced military commander. The fact that he was not from the old, established Roman aristocracy actually made him a more popular figure with some segments of the population and the army. When news of Vitellius's indulgent misrule and the general instability in Rome reached the eastern provinces, the legions stationed there decided it was time to act decisively. On July 1st, 69 AD, the legions in Egypt, under the command of their prefect Tiberius Julius Alexander, took the momentous step of proclaiming Vespasian as emperor. Very soon after, the legions in Judea under Vespasian's direct command and those in Syria, led by Gaius Licinius Mucianus, also declared their allegiance to him. Mucianus, the governor of Syria, was a particularly key supporter, as he commanded a powerful and well-trained army. Vespasian was reportedly initially hesitant to accept this dangerous challenge, but his ambitious son Titus and the influential Mucianus eventually persuaded him to claim the imperial throne. Vespasian's plan to seize power was carefully considered and strategically clever. He knew he possessed strong and reliable military support throughout the eastern part of the empire. The plan involved Mucianus leading a significant portion of the eastern armies overland towards Italy to confront Vitellius. Vespasian himself made the crucial decision to go to Egypt. Egypt held immense strategic importance for the city of Rome. It was the primary supplier of grain to the capital, feeding its large population. By controlling Egypt and its vital grain supply, Vespasian could exert considerable pressure on Vitellius and the city of Rome. He could potentially starve Rome into submission if the military campaign faced difficulties, demonstrating his astute strategic thinking. Crucially for Vespasian's cause, the formidable legions stationed along the Danube River frontier in Europe also declared their support for him. These legions were composed of tough, battle-hardened and experienced soldiers, renowned for their fighting prowess. Their commander, Marcus Antonius Primus, was an energetic and ambitious leader, eager for action and glory. He did not want to wait for Mucianus and the Syrian legions to make their slower, overland advance. Instead, Primus made the bold decision to invade Italy quickly with his Danubian forces. This swift and unexpected move would aim to catch Vitellius's forces off guard and unprepared. The stage was now set for another decisive and bloody battle to determine Rome's next master. To learn more about Vespasian's rise and the fall of Pompeii, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more fascinating historical tales. Antonius Primus led the Danubian legions into northern Italy with remarkable speed and determination. His clear objective was to engage and defeat Vitellius's forces before Vitellius could effectively gather all his military strength from across the empire. Vitellius's generals attempted to block Primus's rapid advance towards Rome. The two opposing armies eventually met once again near the town of Bedriacum in October of 69 AD. This was, coincidentally, the very same location where Otho's forces had been defeated by Vitellius's army earlier that same tumultuous year. The Second Battle of Bedriacum, however, was far longer, much more fiercely contested and significantly bloodier than the first encounter at that site. The fighting during the Second Battle of Bedriacum was incredibly fierce and lasted throughout the entire night, a testament to the desperation and determination on both sides. The Danubian legions supporting Vespasian were highly motivated and fought with extraordinary courage and tenacity for their chosen emperor. They believed Vespasian could bring stability back to the troubled empire. Eventually, after many hours of brutal combat, Antonius Primus's forces managed to break through Vitellius's lines. Vitellius's army was effectively shattered, with many of his soldiers killed, captured, or scattered. The path to the city of Rome was now open for Vespasian's victorious supporters. The news of this catastrophic defeat caused widespread panic and despair in the capital. Back in Rome, Vitellius attempted to abdicate his position as emperor, hoping to save his own life. However, his own remaining supporters and perhaps the chaotic situation prevented him from doing so effectively. When Antonius Primus's army finally entered Rome, there was more brutal and destructive fighting directly in the streets of the city. Vitellius was eventually captured by Vespasian's soldiers. He was dragged ignominiously through the city streets, publicly humiliated, and then killed in a degrading manner in December of 69 AD. His violent death marked the definitive end of the bloody civil war that had plagued Rome for over a year. The Senate quickly and officially recognized Vespasian as the new emperor. Though Vespasian himself was still in Egypt at this time, his victory was complete and undisputed. Vespasian finally arrived in Rome in the year 70 AD. His arrival signaled an end to the chaos and instability that had gripped the empire. He founded the Flavian dynasty, which would include his two sons, Titus and Domitian, as his successors. This new dynasty would rule the Roman Empire for the next 27 years, providing a period of relative calm. Vespasian immediately set about restoring financial stability to the depleted Roman treasury. He also initiated major public building projects, the most famous of which was the Flavian Amphitheatre, later to become universally known as the Colosseum. His practical, down-to-earth and no-nonsense approach to government was precisely what Rome needed after the madness of 69 AD. He conclusively proved that an emperor did not necessarily need to be a Roman aristocrat by birth to rule effectively and bring prosperity to the empire. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating tales from the past.